So in last video we discussed about this 16 Mahajanaprathas, and we also discussed about this Princip and Priyadasi, right? And then we also discussed about why Magadha is considered as one of the most powerful dynasty or kingdom among the 16 Mahajanaprathas, right? So today we are going to discuss about the point number 3, that is an early empire. Now in early empire means we are going to discuss about the Mauryan Empire, right? Mauryan Empire, where the Ashoka belong. See now, Mauryan Empire, which was emerged or started between circa 321 BC to 185 BC, right? So this is where the Mauryan Empire started from 321 BC to, and it was declined in 185 BC. So that is a time frame where the Mauryan Empire was happened. Right? Now in exam there was a 1 marks question about who is the founder of Mauryan Empire. There's a 1 marks question. So your answer should be Chandragupta Maurya is the founder of Mauryan Empire. Mauryan Empire was established or started by Chandragupta Maurya in circa 321 BC. Understood? And his grandson Ashoka, right? Ashoka became one of the most popular or most powerful king in ancient India that archaeology or history used to consider him as a very powerful ruler of ancient India. Right? So Chandragupta Maurya found the Mauryan Empire, and his grandson means Chandragupta Maurya's son was Bindusara, right? And Bindusara's son was Ashoka. And Ashoka became the most famous ruler of early India. Of course, we know about it. And he was very famous about this battle, right? Kalinga battle. Kalinga means in present-day Orissa, right? Where the Ashoka in the 1260s BC, 260s BC, he waged a war against the Kalinga, right? Kalinga and Orissa. So in this battle, that battle, it's kind of turning point in his life, where he saw lots of these killings, widows were there, orphanage were there. So he became so devastated, and so Ashoka became so disturbed. He give up the war, and he converted to, or he adopted Buddhism. And then later part of life, he propagate the Buddhist religion. That's we all know about it, right? Now during his time, during that war, Kalinga war, he became so devastated, right? And when Chandragupta Maurya and Bindusara and then Ashoka, during that time, right, is a we call it zenith of this Mauryan Empire. During that time, the expand of Mauryan Empire, see, from the northwest frontier provinces, right, from this Afghanistan, near the Afghanistan border, from here to Assam, from northeast area, and then till Andhra Pradesh, right? Andhra Pradesh, expand of Maurya is so huge that almost all India was conquered or under the Mauryan Empire. So see how big the Mauryan Empire was during the BC, right? 321 BC. So that is about the Mauryan Empire, right? Now next, in the next topic, what we're going to know about is finding out about the Mauryan Empire. Now here topic itself, about it, right? Finding about the Mauryan Empire. Now here, finding about means how do we know about the Mauryan Empire? What are the sources, right? What are some kind of source to reconstruct the Mauryan Empire? How historian or archaeologists know about the Mauryan Empire? So we have many sources to understand of the finding of the Mauryan. The first account of Megasthenes. Now Megasthenes is contemporary with Chandragupta Maurya. He was an ambassador in the Chandragupta Maurya court, right? He's a diplomat of the Greek. And his book, account here means his book Indica. In this book, it contained about the Mauryan Empire. It contained the history of Mauryan Empire, how the administration systems were done in the Mauryan Empire, how the society worked, and different story about the king were there in Indica. So Megasthenes' book Indica became one of the most important sources to know about Mauryan Empire. On that, Megasthenes was also considered, father of Indian history. He is considered as a father of Indian history, right? So this is all about Indica book help us to understand about the modern empire. The second source that we have is Arthashastra, a book wrote by this Chanakya, or we also call him Kautilya, right? This is a book of Indica, right? Wrote by the Megasthenes. And second book, we have Arthashastra, wrote by Chanakya, or we also call it Kautilya, right? The same person. Chanakya or Kautilya is the same person, right? In his book, he is a minister of Chandragupta Maurya, and his book contains about the modern history, just like same, right? Economic histories were there, and then social, and these rulings were there, wars were there, diplomats were there. So his book also considered as one of the major sources to study about the Mauryan Empire. Understood? And the third source, see, book of this book Arthashastra, wrote by the Chanakya or Kautilya. And the third source to know about the Mauryan Empire is Buddhist and Jain texts, right? Buddhist and Jain texts. Buddhist texts, as we know, right? Because Ashoka himself, converted to Buddhism in the later part of his this life. So, of course, his story should be there in Buddhist texts. And in Jain texts, especially the Jain texts like Kabali Sutra, right? Kalpa Sutra. In Kalpa Sutra, Jain text, it mentioned about the life of Chandragupta Maurya, because in the later part of Chandragupta Maurya, he converted to Jain. Right? Even his wife is Jainism, right? Jain. So through that way, Buddhist and Jain texts became one of the very important sources to know about the Mauryan Empire. Right? Then we have Ashoka rock edicts, minor rock edicts like majors and minor rock edicts, pillars, right? What they see. Almost in all India, you will find the Ashoka pillars, rock edicts, and these minor rock edicts, sculptures. You can find everywhere in India, right? So these are all, rock edicts and these pillars. See, pillars is over here. Ashoka message were there. You can see everywhere in India, right? So that's become one of the important sources to know about Mauryan Empire. And not only that, there were many other Hindu texts, Sanskrit texts, Puranas were there, right? So all these sources, give us information about the Mauryan Empire. So in future, if there was a question about what are the sources to understand the Mauryan Empire, so your answer should be like that. Megasthenes' book Indica, Arthashastra, wrote by Kautilya or Chanakya, then Buddhist and Jain texts, and then Ashoka inscription or rock edicts. These are all some kind of sources to know about Mauryan Empire. Understood? So within this topic, inside this topic, in your textbook, it's written together, but I made it separate to clarify your confusion about what do you understand by Ashoka Dhamma. Sometimes that will be question also asked, what do you understand by Ashoka Dhamma? Now when the Ashoka Dhamma says, immediately in your brain or your mind, there's something to do with the religion, yes or no? See, Ashoka Dhamma is not a religion. Right? Ashoka never ever introduced a new religion. Right? Ashoka Dhamma is just like, father and mother giving advice to their son, right, and daughter about the moral values, ethic values, goods, right? To teach your children to separate or differentiate between do's and don'ts, right? So that is all about Ashoka Dhamma. Don't confuse with Ashoka Dhamma as a religion he introduced. No, Ashoka never introduced a new religion, right? That is Ashoka Dhamma is a kind of policy to administrate the empire, the huge empire. Understood? Now see, what is Ashoka Dhamma contain, right? Contain of Ashoka Dhamma contains. First, it contained respect to elder. Whoever older than you, you must need to pay respect. And then love for young, right? If you are elder, you have no right to exploit others, right? You need to show love or compassion, karuna towards the young, right? And then kindness to servant, generosity toward the servant. So very good concept, right? Ashoka Dhamma. And in that, it also contains religious tolerance to other religions. See, Ashoka policy of religion policy. In this policy, we can clearly see Ashoka, notion about religion. He is a kind of secular person, right? Why? Because he says Have faith in your religion, but respect others' religion. Even in our constitution, a preamble, we have this, secularism. Secularism also there, right? Secular. And third, liberate policies toward Brahmanas and those who renounce worldly life. Now here, liberal policy means little bit less strict, right? Kind of freedom policies toward Brahmanas means sages, right? Or those monks, nuns, and sages, gurus, all those, right? And those who renounce means, give up. The worldly life means materialistic world, right? Materialistic means technological world, this materialistic world they need to give up, including they also need to adopt celibacy. They need to give up a materialistic world, including in sex, right? So everything they give up. And for those persons, those sages, the monks and nuns, what they need to do, government need to give them some kind of generosity policies or liberal policy should be followed for them because they are sannyasis. So that is in this, if you notice, this is all about non-violence kind of policy or ethical value in which kind of policy that he introduced in his own subject subject in a very this very kind way, or I would say, right? And for proper running of this process, what he did, he appointed a minister known as Dharma Mahamata, right? See, Ashoka appointed officers known as it's wrong, right? Known as Dhamma Mahamata to spread the message of Dhamma. Now, Ashoka is the first king in Indian history who engraved his message on the rock, right, on the hard surface. So that's why even today we can see Ashoka's message, right, of Ashoka Dhamma in every this territory where he belonged, right. The territory comes under the Mauryan Empire. Understood? So what is the work of Ashoka Dhamma? Ashoka Dhamma are the officers. What they do, they spread the message of Dhamma to this area of Mauryan Empire. So what they do, they they were illiterate people, they don't know how to read, right? So what these officers do, they read loudly in the settlement so that people can understand, right, what Ashoka message is all about. Understood? So that is all about Ashoka Dhamma. So in exam, if there was a question about Ashoka Dhamma, so never confuse that Ashoka have introduced a new religion. No, never. Ashoka never introduced a new religion. This is all about the policies of Ashoka to govern the kingdom or to administrate the kingdom. Understood? Okay. Then next we are going to discuss about the administrating the empire. Now, how administrations were done, right? In this Arthashastra, in Indiga, Buddhist and Jain texts mentioned about there were 5 popular centers, right, where the administration works were done. There were 5 major political centers, right, main centers, right, capital, or you may say this prime place where the administration centers were done, where the king or this prince used to stay. So here, these are, of course, the Patliputra is the capital, right? In Bihar is the capital of Mauryan Empire, where the king used to stay. Then what happened? And then the provincial center means another center, right? Other than this Patliputra, we have Takshila in this northern area, right? In 4 cardinal direction, there were different centers were established by the Mughal Mauryan kings, right? In Takshali in the northern, right? And Ujjain in this western part, in Madhya Pradesh, Taksali in Pakistan, Tosali in this Orissa in the east, right? And then Suvanagri in Karnataka, south. So in 4 cardinal direction, there are different centers. Were there the main center or main capital, just like Delhi in Patliputra in Bihar. Right? So how beautifully the administration systems were done. In second administration systems, see, suppose if you look in this map, Patliputra in Bihar, right? In Bihar itself. Then we have Taxila in here, in Pakistan. Then we have Ujjain over here in Madhya Pradesh. It is the capital of Avanti, one of the 16 marginal Pradesh, Avanti. And Tosali in Orissa over here. And then we have Suvanagri in Karnataka. And Suvanagri actually literally means a mount of gold. You have, if you remember in the Harappan culture, we studied that, Harappan procure gold from South India, that's Karnataka, right? So here, golds were pretty much, easy available over here. So see, arrangement of these provincial these centers, right? Next, administrative control was stronger in the area around the capital and the provincial center, of course, yes. The area which come nearby the center or these provincial centers, yes, of course, the administrative control was stronger. This we know about it, right? Then communication along both land and river and routes was vital, means important for the existence of empire. Of course, communication means suppose if Ashoka want to go from Patliputra to Taxila, right? Now see, so far, right? If both the communication land and river and route are not that much, properly arranged, so it will take too much time, so much time, many times to reach this Taxila. So that's why it's very important to proper arrangement of this. Both the land and sea routes river route need to be arranged, or in case of this reinforcement, right, in the war or everything, if army reinforcement should be needed. So river and route and land, both this travel route need to be very elaborate, or proper arrangement should be there, right, for the proper existence of the empire. Understood? And then we have this Megasthenes, right? In Megasthenes' book, Indica, he mentioned about the committee with 6 subcommittees for coordinating military activity. Now see, military is major, important, this unit to look after the empire, right? To maintain the empire, this prosperity, military is a key thing. Yes or no? Now, what Megasthenes in his book Indica mentioned, in the book of Megasthenes Indica, he mentioned about committee with 6 subcommittee. Means suppose in our area, right, there was one main office, right, and from that office that office distribute or made different kind of department to look after. Suppose in our own we have this Tibetan government in exile, then we have different this education, the ministers, then we have defense minister, then we have this cultures ministers, and different kind of ministers were there. They look after the different department. Just like that, in Megasthenes also mentioned about that kind of proper systems were there, administrative systems were there. What he said, there are 6 subcommittee, right? Head committee, under his 6 committee, they look after the military activity. Now, what are the 6 subcommittees? See, empires are huge, right? So, military committee should be needed in different provinces, right? There are 5 main provinces, right? We have Taxali, we have this Patliputra, we have Ujjain, then we have Tosali, then we have this Suvanagri. Different these centers have needed different subcommittees. Now 6 committees are first committee among the 6. The first committee look after the navy, right? Making of the boat, arrangement of boat, riverine activities, or communication, or whatever, whatever should be needed. Navy means first committee look after the navy purpose, navy work, right? And second committee look after the manage transport and provision. Transport means they need to arrange the block cart or the bullock cart, and also provision means supply food for the soldiers and fodders for the bulls and cows and horse. They need something to eat. So the second department look after all those things. And third department look after the foot soldiers, means infantry, right? Foot soldiers, infantry. And fourth department look after the horse, the cavalry, right? Horse army, look after the horse army. And fifth department look for the chariot. Chariot means this 2-wheeler horse-drawn battle car, right? See, you must heard it, you have seen this in many movies, right? Mahabharata, Bahubali. See, 2-wheeler, right? 2-wheeler horse-drawn cart, right? So that is very important in ancient time in the battle. So their fifth department look after these charioteers, right? And then 6th department look after the elephant, because elephant is also very important in a battle during that time. So these are the 6 departments. They look after military department. They look after the different kind of department to run the administration properly during the Mauryan Empire. And it was mentioned by the Megasthenes in his book Indica. Understood? And then the last, Ashoka introduced policy of Dhamma. Now, as I told you before, right? Policy of Dhamma is nothing is just to run or to look or to administrate the kingdom or this empire in a peaceful, prosperity way. So Ashoka Dhamma play a very important role to run the country very calm and peaceful way. Understood? It is also very important administrative systems. Then, now why Mauryan Empire considered as very important in Indian history? Because during the 19th and 20th century, during the freedom struggles, right, many freedom fighters they took Ashoka as a source of inspiration to revolt against the English, right, during the revolt of 1857 and these freedom struggles, right, different kind. Ashoka became source of inspiration for many Indian freedom struggles. Just like, okay, let me take an example. Just like look at us. We also take King Songtsen Gampo as a source of our inspiration when it comes to revolt against China. Yes or no? So just like that, Mauryan Empire was very important because during Indian freedom struggle, many nationalist leaders, right? Many nationalist leaders in India, right? They regarded Ashoka as a source of inspiration figure. So through that way, this is all about the administrating of Mauryan Empire. So next topic we are going to learn in next video. Thank you.